Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Yeah. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Kayak Bass Nation. Hey. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation.
Kayak Bass Nation is presented by Dugout Bait and Tackle. Go to dugoutfishing.com to find everything you need for your next kayak bass fishing tournament.
Hope you enjoy the show. Jeff Malott, Lunch Money Lambert, Lego.
Also sponsored by Revo Sunglasses. Go to revo.com, use code KBN25 to save 25% off your next order. Revo, best lenses on earth. Also sponsored by Western Sun Vodka. Go to westernsundistillery.com and use the bottle finder to find a bottle near you.
Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation.
What's up, everybody? Happy Monday night. Welcome to KBN Live. Another Monday night. We've got Dylan Lowery, the Guntersville champ, Day 2 Dylan, with us tonight. And we've got a shaded Ryan Lambert. How you doing over there, Ryan?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm just, I felt like Siddiqui won day one, and he never takes his shades off. So this is shout out to Siddiqui.
Does he have just one eye? Why does he never take his shades off? What's going on with him over there?
I think he has two eyes. I don't want to swear to it, but he just, I think it's just like a cool kind of 80s throwback thing, man.
Maybe one cyborg guy. That's how he'd be winning all the time. He's got.
You think there's like he probably has live scope on the other eye.
Maybe that's a Bluetooth eye. Who knows? I'm just kidding.
Damn.
Just kidding.
All right.
No, he's had a hell of a run this year. I mean, he's always solid year after year, but he's had a hell of a run this year. So respect with the shades. Good win on day one. But the winner of the weekend is Dylan Lowery, and we've got him. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice. Here with us tonight.
Here we are.
Oh, sorry, I'm losing my voice. This is not going to be good,
on
right?
that water, huh?
It's literally fading on me right here.
Don't give up, brother. Don't give up.
Besides the KBF event, we had a few other things go down over the weekend. Let's talk about that real quick, and then we'll get into what went down with young Day 2 Dylan.
Let's talk about it.
Native had their second Big Bass Power Hour event. That went good. They had over 100 people over there. Chris Gravely won the whole thing. Joey Randall came in second. And I thought it'd be a lot more fish caught. It seemed like it was pretty tough for a multi-lake event over there. Did you see any of that?
Joey caught like 2 million inches of fish or something I saw, right?
Yeah, it was 235 inches one and
220.
Like 221 inches was Joey for second.
Yeah.
But for a no limit event, I don't know what the minimum is for that. Is it 14 or 12?
I don't know off the top of my head on that one. Somebody, if anybody in the comments knows the limit for the no limit,
let us know that. But
it'd be good to hear.
Put up good time.
It was a lot of lake, wasn't it? It was like what, a dozen lakes or more in North Carolina and South Carolina, which includes like Santee and Hartwell, like some of the bigger name lakes that you see on these trail stops.
18 lakes, it says on here.
18. Okay. All right.
Yeah, 18 lakes, and they were paying out over $1,000 an hour, and I think it might have got up to $1,200 or $1,300 an hour.
I thought I saw something about $1,300 an hour at one point.
Yeah. Okay. 14 inches, they believe. 14 and 18 lakes in the comments. Appreciate y'all. So that's catching on, and that's kind of a niche that hasn't been touched yet by anybody. So I think maybe that'll get bigger next year. I hope so. Hope that comes more towards the central U.S. a little bit. That'd be fun.
I'm sure didn't they put the schedule out of where they were having them? It was like California, Washington, PA, the Carolinas. Where else? Was it?
Michigan,
Washington,
Potholes Reservoir, and then October 8th on the Susquehanna. So that'll be a good one. A lot of fish will be caught. That'll be a good one. Then also the All-American boys they're not having an All-American Championship this year. We had them on to talk about that before, but they did have their open qualifier, 2-day qualifier on Friday and Saturday on Truman Lake. And they had 56 folks show up for that. Jared Fosno from Missouri, 168 inches, took the win up there. And it was pretty brutal up there. Super windy. Weather changing, as it always is over this way.
I saw some tank smallmouth getting caught up north this weekend, though. Yeah. I saw some big smallies getting posted. Those fish are freaks. I mean, they may be 20 inches long, but they're freaking 5.5, 6 pounds. They're monsters.
Who was it that somebody shared a picture where they had their fish DQ'd because the fish was so fat it blocked out the identifier and they had to DQ the fish.
That's tough.
Or say fat, it was tall as fish can be. It was blocking out the ID.
Old tall fish.
Anything else go down over the weekend?
I don't think, dude, my weekend was a cluster, so I don't really know what happened outside of my own tiny little world.
Yeah, I know we were following Dylan. You were at a volleyball event, non-fishing related.
Dude, I was all over. I had a wedding Saturday. I had a volleyball tournament Sunday. I did not really get to enjoy too much of anything. I was trying to keep up with Dill, make sure he didn't hurt himself out there. It was a mess.
Somebody in the comments is saying that motors were not allowed in the event, in the native event. I didn't know that was a no motor deal.
I didn't either.
So the more you learn. There we go.
We'll have this figured out in a month or two, I'd say.
Yeah, man. We got a few things we want to get into. The one thing that I saw before we came live was I saw you shared a post about Dugout jumping into the Tennessee State Championship. Yep. Throwing the support behind that, so that was cool.
So since they started, like they obviously, sponsored Steve-O and I's local club, TVKA, and they sponsored the state championship last year, and they got the bid. We do bids, so it's an open bid platform for the Tennessee State sponsor, and Dugout won again. Hook One was kind of the perennial powerhouse. They'll put up boats and prize packs and whatever. We just kind of open it up with a dollar value total. But they've been great. I mean, from Marietta supporting the Tennessee State Championship, they're really trying to make their mark on the whole Southeast. I think Jamie's definitely made his presence felt with that for sure.
Yeah, I guess it helps that Hook One doesn't exist anymore. No,
that also is a big factor. Yeah. Get rid of the competition. You don't have any competition.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. And then the other thing was you don't have that video out yet on the Jackson. You got in that Jackson finally.
I don't. I got out of it at like 4:00 today.
Okay. Well, go right into our sponsors, of course. Dugout sponsoring the Tennessee State Trail. Dugout's a presenting sponsor. We appreciate them as always. Go to dugoutfishing.com and find what you need for your next tournament. There you go. Glasses are off. There's Ryan.
Revos. Those are Revo sunglasses.
Yep. There's
for
the Revos.
Podcasts and indoor activities.
You're wearing the Jaspers, right? That's your go-to?
Mm-hmm.
All right. I don't have the pair of Jaspers. I got a couple other ones, but they're
Hometown good. USA. Dylan tried the Jaspers, but his head's too wide, so he had to switch.
Okay. And then, of course, Western Sun. We may get into some Western Sun tonight as we get deeper into these topics. So we love Western Sun. Invite you, westernstundistillery.com. And you can there's a bottle finder section on there where you can find a retailer near you. And now you can maybe even have a little drizzly, have it driven straight to your house like DoorDash. So perfect. And then last but not least, you see this hat I got on. We just put KBN hats up on the website. They're Richardson 112 hats with a stitched logo. I don't want to make that slip like I did before we came live, right? You can get on there and find them along with a bunch of other T-shirts and things like that. So go to the kayakbassnation.com/shop and you can find those.
Get a real hat.
Get you a hat. Yeah, it's a good hat.
If we save up enough nickels and dimes, we may do a KBN contingency program. How about that?
God, can you
That'd
imagine? And Revo is doing something. We still got to work out the details on that, but Revo is doing a contingency program of some sort. So stick around for the details on that.
And that's the biggest measure of everybody wants to come. That sounds like a dog. Yeah. Everybody wants to come in on the popularity of kayak fishing and kind of capitalize on the marketing opportunities, but the companies that actually step up and put out and invest in the sport, that's what grows the whole deal. Like these contingency programs, the bonus money, Dugout sponsoring a tournament series, in the next state over. It's that kind of stuff. Like that's what reflects, that they care about what we're doing. So, pay attention to these companies that are putting something out there for you.
That's it. Jump in with the companies that support our sport. We love it. That's it, man. Let's get Day 2 Dylan in here on day 3, I guess it would be. Yeah. All right, hang on just a second. Let me get this thing swapped around. There he is. There's the kid.
What's going on, y'all?
That's quite a name you got on your tag there, buddy.
Hey,
Young Billionaire.
I'm
Billionaire.
I'm running.
Oh.
I changed my Instagram name and everything. That's a
Did
thing.
you?
It's
Are
gonna
you
happen.
That was
now a
I
rapper?
didn't. It's an accidental. It was an accidental introduction that I made to some of my Nashville friends. Called him Young Billionaire, and it's stuck in his heart and soul. So here we have him, and now he's cashing all kinds of checks. So
See,
look
new
at it.
nickname, new me.
It worked. That's all we needed.
Have you been paid yet, Dylan?
No.
Okay.
Not yet.
Did you figure out how to file the tax information?
Yes, I did that at work.
Okay. Check. Good. So
Did
that's
that at
step
work.
one.
Appreciate-
That's step one.
Now we wait.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, man. Well, yeah, that was fun watching you. Typically, Ryan and I may not necessarily have all eyes on the KBF events, but we had all eyes on this one because you were in it, and we were pulling for you along with a few other friends of ours in the event. So we were so pumped to see you take the title, man.
Appreciate it. That was the most fun but boring tournament I've ever fished in my life. That is such a slow, oh man. It was great. It was great. Don't get me wrong, it was great. But I don't think I've ever spent that much time in between fish. Ever.
I told you. There's a very limited number of bites, but with the bites that you get, as I said, will be the right bites, but you have to be just stubborn and stupid and sit there and stare at the same thing all day long.
Yeah, well, it paid off. And I greatly appreciate it because now I finally got the national tournament monkey off my back.
Buddy, I hope this helps. If this doesn't fix it, there's not any more I have to give to you. Okay, so I'm writing this off on my taxes.
Yeah, I don't think there could be a bigger bounce back after, you were obviously mad and frustrated after you follow, and to have this happen, the next event, unbelievable. How'd that feel to get that kind of turnaround?
Well, frustrated wasn't the word for it.
Yeah.
That was heartbreaking. I've been trying to get a national tournament on Eufaula since I started kayak fishing in 2015. And it finally happened. And when I was talking to AJ and Mayor Tibbs about it, the lake it took 30 pounds to be in the top 5. And then, obviously getting this stuff set up takes time, and the Corps of Engineers loves ruining lakes. So
why is it? I mean, let's touch on that for a second. Why is it that you think that the Corps of Engineers is even letting that happen to Eufaula, where it's kind of like a Kentucky lake where the entire economy thrives off of, heads in beds, people coming in for these big bass fishing tournaments? Why would they do something like that? It doesn't make a ton of sense.
What I was told by several different people was the Corps of Engineers excuse is there is a type of grass in Eufaula that the coots eat, and it doesn't mess with the coots, but when the bald eagles eat the coots, it kills the bald eagles. But that doesn't make any sense to me because Eufaula can't be the only place in the world with that type of grass. I mean, Seminole's right below Eufaula, and they don't mess with it. So,
and we got a lot of eagles too. There's a lot of eagles flying around out there. So,
but no, there's been people posting downriver of Eufaula, posting dead fish floating everywhere along the riverbanks, and I've heard from a couple of buddies that the stripers aren't running up in Columbus like they normally do. Like,
really?
It's rough. That they're just doing everything they can to ruin what was one of the best lakes in the country, in my opinion.
Hey, what's up with the strict turtle limit? I keep talking about that every time I bring somebody.
Yeah, I have no idea. I've never heard of that.
There's so many turtles there, I can't even believe it. And they got a strict
I didn't
limit.
know there was a turtle limit. I thought that was a joke. Is there really a turtle limit?
Yeah, there's a sign saying there was a turtle limit. And then I got accosted for posting the sign saying, how dare I make fun of conservation efforts. So my apologies to them.
Who said that?
Conservation efforts have also done a lot of damage to Eufaula, if that makes any sense.
Who's taking up for the turtles?
Somebody on our page. This was during
You're
the Eufaula
lying
week.
right now.
No, I swear to God. During the Eufaula pre-fish session, I posted that picture of that turtle sign. I was scolded in the comments, but
We got a Ninja Turtle out here.
he didn't get the sarcasm, I guess. But it's all good. I appreciate you sticking up for turtles. Speak for those who can't speak for themselves. Anyway,
Save the
I'm
turtles.
proud of them. I'm still proud of them. By the way, our last podcast, the great storytelling of Jeremy Hughes went viral. That junk got shared everywhere. Young Deal posted it up and all over Columbus and Eufaula. My buddy sent me a screenshot of the Phoenix owners group trying to track down the dude that got his head smashed. We still do not have a name or a video yet, so please continue to like and share so we can track this gentleman down and congratulate him.
Oh,
I want to bring him on the show and interview him. Is what
Don't worry about it. Papa Dave's on the case. It will get found out eventually.
Okay.
And I saw Jeremy got a special appearance on Ike Live. After
How cool is that? How cool is that? Coming straight out of the cesspool onto Ike Live. We're building stars out here, Jeff. Building stars.
Making people famous around here. Infamous. Or
That's
both.
it.
Yeah.
I knew something was going to happen because I kept Brian the Carpenter was hot in the comments that night, and I was like, "There's something about to take place right here." That's exactly what it was. He's cherry picking.
That's all right. We'll share. Let's see. I'm trying to get caught up on the comments, and people are wanting your WDO hat there, Ryan. Wide Dick Open.
Yeah,
don't you have a stack of those, or is Chase making them?
No, Chase sent me one just to tease me. I can't help anyone else out. I mean, we can talk to the trademarker of Wide Dick Open, Jeff, and throw those on the KBN side. I feel like that's as much a part of KBN as anything is.
Sure. Yeah, we could do that. Do a little pre-order, maybe 2-week pre-order, and have Chase make some more.
God, well, we can't do it like our last pre-order.
No. I'll put it on the website.
Be much more organized.
We'll put it on the website and collect stuff on the front end with addresses, and then on the back end, we'll maybe handle it.
We're learning.
Maybe.
Can I get a custom one that says WDS? Because I was catching those fish wide dick slow. There was nothing open about it.
Wide dick slow?
Billy.
Yeah.
That sounds terrible. That sounds absolutely terrible. Let's talk about your fishing, man. Sherwood deserves a freaking hat, he says.
Okay, I agree. He does. Sherwood does.
You coming to Broken Bow,
cover
Sherwood?
Sherwoods.
Is he coming to the Bow or Chickamauga or either one? We'll see what we can do, Jeffrey. We'll cover the cost. But let's get to Dylan's fishing. And Ryan, we're going to get into Dylan's fishing and info sharing and all that stuff later on. But you could lead the questions here because obviously you know exactly what Dylan, where he was and what he was doing.
I don't even want to lead the questions because I know all the answers to the questions.
I was sworn to secrecy, so if I start going over the limit, hit a button. Like, cut me off, take me out.
I should have put a shock collar on you. Is what I should have done. So I guess we went to my buddy's birthday party in Nashville a few weeks ago, and Dylan was like, "Dude, can we please go hit those smallmouth? Please, I want to catch my PB smallmouth." And I'm like, "God dang, all right, man, whatever." So that afternoon, we run back, we do some smallmouth fishing, and it's not like I've put 8 years into figuring this stuff out. Like this is not like you go in blind and just happen to stumble up on this magical bite. Like even for me, like it's something that is super specific and it's so painfully slow. You'll break off a lot. You'll get your heart broken a lot. And that's, Dylan went out and we did end up catching his PB smallmouth that afternoon, but it took losing several over 5 pounds. With both of us in the boat, it was rough. And then he's like, "I think I'm gonna fish this KBF event." And I'm like, "Well, all right, generally speaking, you know what to do. If you want to do that, I think that's the way to win. Like if that works, if you get 7 bites, then you've got the winning bag. But it takes all day. It takes all day to do it. And you can let Dylan, you feel free to tell us how how that went, how the day started. But it played out just like that.
Yeah, no, it did. It was very slow, and I did break off a lot. I got to call Big Bite and get some more swim baits. But nah, man, I can't remember what time I jumped off that 7-pounder. I think that was relatively early in the morning.
It was like 9:30 or 9:40 because I looked at the call log on my phone. Because the game warden, so I live in a small town, USA. The game warden calls me and he's like, "Hey, who's this dude in the blue kayak on your juice?" And I was like, "That's my buddy Dylan." He's like, "Dude, he just lost a monster." And I knew I had taken pictures of him losing a big smallmouth earlier. And I was like, he's going to blow it, man. Like there's not like 20 bites. Like there's only 7 or 8. Like if you lose those key bites, you're done. You're done, period.
Yeah, no, I did catch that 20-inch smallmouth relatively early in the morning. And then the famous picture of me throwing my hands up in the air after I lost the big one. That was pretty heartbreaking. But I feel like I got on them pretty quick the first day. It kind of hit a lull in the afternoon. That was pretty bad. But just that swim bait on the current, man. That was the key. That West generator. I don't want to go into too much because I don't want to give it up. But
Answer this. Sherwood's asking why you broke off so much.
There's stuff that will break your line.
All right.
I mean, it's a Tennessee River. It's the river section. Like, there's no secret to that. I mean, it's freaking, big rocks. It's trees. It's riprap. It's everything. Like, there's plenty of stuff to scuff up your line and break it off. And I mean, if you make the wrong cast, if you let it sit too long, if one of the fish wrap you up on something, you're in trouble. Like, you're in trouble pretty quick. And that's one of the things that makes it so hard that a lot of people can't just stumble up on it and figure this kind of thing out, because you have to be super patient, and you may make 150 casts, the same cast, to get bit. Like, it's like I said, monotonous. I mean, it's a painful deal. But what was it like when I mean, obviously you had one big one pretty early on day one, but you called up. I mean, you kept fishing, kept calling. You had obviously a couple heartbreaks, but you kept on grinding. And what did you end up on, day one?
I had 92 inches total on day one. I feel like I just didn't get a good hook set on that 7-pound largemouth. I normally always set the hook this way to my right. And the way I was positioned, that was not possible. And I was reeling right here, and I didn't have a whole lot of room to move my arm, so I kind of leaned into it too. And I feel like that was the reason. I should have popped her again, but hindsight's 20/20.
And I'll say, like, when you're fishing current like that, and the fish is coming at you with the current, you have to make up not only for that fish swimming at you, but you have to make up for the current too. And like you were saying, Dylan, what you would have done differently, I'll usually do a couple, 2 or 3 hook sets, especially in heavy current like that, just to make absolutely sure that hook gets in, because a lot of times it doesn't. And if they get to the surface, you figure it out real quick, because that bait comes right back at you.
Oh, yeah, no, she came up and started thrashing immediately. But yeah, that's, things I wish I would have done different. Congratulations to Siddiqui, but sweeping the weekend would have been pretty cool.
It would have been cool. But Siddiqui, man, he's got a lot of experience on Guntersville himself. I mean, Siddiqui's cash checks on Guntersville. And obviously this year, it seems like Siddiqui's he's on a tear, cashing checks himself anyway. So it wasn't really a surprise to see him, at the top, in the top 3 going into the end of day one, in my opinion.
Hey, look, that's the fish I caught twice.
Is that a spot?
Is that it?
Mm-hmm.
It's a spot?
Looks like a meanmouth almost.
Yeah.
Is that? I don't know. Ron's the expert.
Nah, it needs some more brown to be a meanmouth. That's just old Kentucky spot there.
It's a hefty spot.
They get up 20, 21 inches up there. There's some monster spots. So you said you caught that one twice. Tell us that story a little bit.
Yeah, so I made my normal round downriver and came back up, and I caught that fish, and made a couple casts, didn't get bit, went back downriver, and then came back. I caught it first at 9:30, I believe, and then came back at 12:30 and caught it again. I didn't even realize it. Like, I was, trying to make as many casts and catch as many fish as possible, trying to cull up and move up the leaderboard, but they didn't notice it until the next day after day 2 was over. And I get a call, and the awards had already been handed out. Like, I've got the 3rd place trophy and check in my truck and made a post about it and all that stuff. And then I get a call after day 2 when I come back to your house to drop some stuff off. Amanda Brandon calls and says, "Hey, did you mean to submit the same fish twice?" And
yesterday.
I was like, "What fish did I submit twice?" I said, I know I didn't submit a fish twice today. And she said, no, yesterday for the Pro Series. I was like, I don't think so. And I went to look through my fish, and I was like, this was on me. I looked at 2 completely different pictures. And I said, no, one of those is a spot and the other one's a largemouth, because I had a 17 3/4 inch largemouth. And she was like, no. And she said, let me send you. I don't think you're looking at it right. So she sent me the pictures, and the daylight is completely different in the pictures. My sleeve's up in one of them, is down in the other. And I was like, I went through my pictures again, and I was like, oh, yeah, I guess I did submit it twice. And I've never, ever caught the same fish twice in my life. So I kind of thought it was pretty cool. Was it for sure the same one? Do you concur with? Yeah, you can, when you pull it up on the pictures, it has the same little injury right behind the gill plate. And the same markings, the exact same markings on the tail and everything. It was for sure the same fish.
And I mean, especially like spawn time, it's not uncommon to catch. Like I had the same deal happen in a KBF 2019. I caught a largemouth that was garden fry. I think garden fry. It was I say garden fry. It was post spawn and it was in pad stems. I catch it at like, we'll say 9:00. And then I go, make a big loop, come back 11:30, catch another fish, 18.25, submit it. Well, like 7:30 p.m. that night, I get a notification it's the same fish. like the same deal, and you may go through a million other 18-inch fish throughout the day. But if you don't take pictures of these, and this is why, teachable moment, I tell people to always take pictures. Like even if you're catching fish that are close to your smallest cull, take a picture, even one single picture, because you may need that to save yourself a spot or two, on the check roster there in case something happens, because I'm guilty of it too. Like if I'm catching fish in a tournament, I catch a fish, I take the picture, boom, I'm right back at it. I don't go through my own stringer. I assume that the judges are going through my stringer. And when I get a verification, then that's correct and good. I think that might be another question to bring up as far as judging goes. Like when you get the check mark, when you get the okay, what does that mean?
Yeah.
What are you okayed on? Are you okay that fish is good for that single fish judging, or did they judge your stringer, especially when you're getting a check and there's pictures and interviews and your sponsors are sharing a post? Like, it's embarrassing to go back and be like, wait a minute, I'm sorry, they judged my fish the next day and now there's an issue. So I don't know where the line is on that.
Let me give you my opinion from a former judge that's judged a lot of fish. You've judged a lot of fish too, Ryan, especially in the JT event. But there's no excuse for it. There's absolutely no excuse for it. We're not playing football, baseball, any live action sport where you're making on the fly judgment calls. In these events, outside of the local events where you got volunteers and they're cramming all their pictures into the afternoon, stuff's going to happen. But these are paid judges in high dollar events. There is zero excuse for the, sometimes we make mistakes stuff that happens over and over. There's no way, no freaking way should that be happening when it's obvious. If there's two fish of the same length, a paid professional judge that apparently is a contracted company to look at these fish should automatically compare two fish of the same length.
And I could be wrong, and my memory's not the best. Isn't there something on Tourney X that flags fish within like a 1/4 inch or something, like for the judge to go back through and acknowledge? And it may not be on Fish Chaos. I don't know if it is or not, but that was one of the kind of safety features there to ensure stuff like this doesn't happen, that the judge has to go back through and be like, okay, check, that's not the same fish. I mean, I think that's a pretty good safety mechanism, just so crazy stuff like this doesn't happen in tournaments.
Well, I mean, that's the simplest thing you can do is just, if you're going to hand out a check like to Dylan here, a third place check, go back and look at his stringer before you give him the check, not the next day.
Yeah.
Why are you doing it the next day?
She said it got past both of her judges on day one, and she didn't catch it until she was verifying both of my bags for the Pro Series.
Right. Why were they doing it for that and not for day one? That's the part that I don't understand. And I'm not just pointing them out in particular because this happens in other series too. But, KBF had kind of a history of this before, and it was some of the same judges who now have their own company contracted by KBF and making the same mistakes, which is probably not a coincidence. But that is something that should be cleaned up easily.
Well, wasn't there some big controversial post the other day about open mouth, closed mouth, all that stuff
same
too?
deal.
I mean,
mouth was closed.
Well, and again, like there, I don't know. There's got to be some kind of standard that's set into place. We can't just have, and I know we gave Drew a little shit for his, what was it, the union, the Anglers Union or whatever. But if you could get everybody, all three big organizations, on the same page as far as just standardization, hand placement, mouth open, mouth closed, just so everybody has some kind of idea on this. And I know duplicate fish, that's not anything subjective at all. That is just you judging the things on time. But the little nuances, if everybody gets on the same page on that, that's going to save a lot of headache and a lot of backtracking as far as having to eat crow and be like, oh, yeah, sorry about that. We whiffed on that one.
Yeah. I mean, we've been at this a while now with the electronic or catch photo release and out from SD cards and doing these apps. So these kind of things, poor judging should be a thing of the past on the big money, big money events. That should be a thing of the past.
I mean, we keep saying we're working and changing and getting better. Like let's do it. Let's do it. Let's take it to the top. I think that's a big piece of the puzzle there.
Yeah, I stand with iCatch. When you go back to that with the automatic measurement, I'm just
Shut
kidding.
up. Get out of here. Get out of here. So back to you, Dill. So on day 2, we got past day 1. Boo boo on the stringer. Day 2. How did things start off? Clearly, like I was in town for day 1. I ate my biscuit, went over and sat in some bushes like I was a ghillie sniper and tried to watch him catch a big fish. I failed at that. Day 2, I couldn't even observe. I couldn't really watch the app. I was at my daughter's regional finals volleyball tournament. So I text Dylan. I'm like, you doing okay? Like, what do you got? And I just get a picture of this freaking mule first thing. And I was like, well, that's okay. Seems like a solid start there. How did that happen? Number 1.
So I get over to my spot and they're not generating with the west generator. It's on the east generator. So it's not pushing the current the way I needed it to. And I was kind of bummed out. I made a couple casts, nothing. So I start to go down river and I hear the siren. And I was like, I know what that means. There's a barge coming through. So I whipped around and went back up there and they started pumping out the lock. Fired my swim bait up there, turned the handle about 3 times, and that one hit. And I made sure I got a good hook set on that one. I put everything I had from my toes all the way up to my shoulders in that hook set. Man, it was good. That 7.4 Matrix did the trick that time. But
did you think you were leading? So you were leading big bass right after day 1
all weekend. I led big bass.
So what did you think when you caught that one? Like you got it locked up, it's over with?
Well, okay, so I actually tied with Christine for big bass with that 20 3/4 inch smallmouth, but I caught it first. And I'm assuming that's what they use for the tiebreaker. No
clue.
Yeah, me either. I wanted it, don't matter. So, me and Christine were picking on each other about that. And then I catch that one. I'm like, I got big, not a lot of bigs have been weighed in yesterday. I said, I got it for sure. And then a couple hours later, somebody submits a 22 1/4. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And I check the scoreboard and I look at it. I'm like, wait, I'm still in first. So obviously I caught this one first again. So that was pretty interesting. But no, I didn't give that fish time to jump, thrash, nothing. I set the hook and started winding. And that's the biggest fish I've ever had skiing across the top of water to my kayak. I was not about to have a repeat losing 2 key fish again.
And you thought you had big bass. You had a pretty commanding lead. There was another angler in the tournament that might have played a little joke on you toward the end of the day. What happened there?
Normally, stuff like that does not bother me. I'm usually pretty chill on the water. With the exception of Lake Pickwick last year, I had a meltdown. Todd Patrick texted me. He's like, man, you're doing so good. Siddiqui just made a good big move though. Good luck, with a little smiley face. And I was like, what do you mean a big move? Did he just move ramps? Did he catch a big one? And he said, yeah, 24 1/4. I was like, oh wow. Okay. He said, yeah, it was an 8-inch cull. So I look at the scoreboard and did the math. I was like, I'm not in the lead anymore. And I started kind of panicking a little bit, like casting a little faster, reeling a little faster. I'm like, man, what do I do? And about 30 minutes goes by, and Todd Patrick messaged me. He's like, hey, man, I'm just letting you know, I'm just kidding. I was sweating bullets, man. That was a good one. That was a good one. He got me on that one.
Todd texts me the same thing, like almost to kind of cover his tracks, I guess. And I was like looking at Fish Chaos, and I was like, he ain't got no 24 on the board.
He was telling me, he's like, he caught a 24 1/4, but he's waiting on it to upload. So I swear every 2 minutes I'm checking the lead to upload.
That's why you just turn your phone off. Put that shit on airplane mode. Don't let nobody mess with you.
But yeah, no, to continue on about day 2, there was no current in my spot whatsoever. So I had to sit there. I'd get on a flurry. I'd catch 2 or 3 fish every time they pumped the barge out. But I waited hours between casting for a while. For most part of the day, I'd eventually go down the river and fish a little bit of stuff every now and then. But it was so boring. Like, I'd just sit there and I'd tie on different stuff and throw it to see if it would work, and nothing. Absolutely nothing. But
let me ask you about that area, and I guess you both comment on it because you know it well, Ryan. I'm looking at everybody's limits, and it's Guntersville, of course. So it's largemouth, everybody, and then Billionaire. You got big smallmouth, big largemouth, big spot. Why, in particular, are there not only all 3 species up there, but big ones? What's the deal there?
There's so much bait on the upper end of the lake. That's one of the key things. And I've gotten a million messages. Like, a lot of people are like, "Oh, that's just the dam bite or whatever." There's a dozen people that went up there and pre-fished the dam. And one of my buddies that he fishes it quite a bit out of a bass boat, he called and he's like, "Dude, why are all these kayakers up here?" I said, "There's a tournament this weekend. They're just pre-fishing." He's like, "Why are they on dead water?" And I was like, "I don't know, man. They're trying to put that puzzle together." Like, it's such a specific deal. Again, it's super current related, but it's not a limited thing. It's not one place necessarily. Like, there was a kid out of Knoxville. He was going to fish the BFL, right? And he wasn't on anything. So I told him where to go. I was like, "This is good for giant smallmouth. It's only good for a couple bites." I know that it is. I'm not lying to the guy. I'm not bullshitting him. Like, wait till there has to, number one, there's got to be current. If you're trying to fish the river section of any TVA lake, there has to be current. This is word of advice to anybody that ever wants to fish a river. There's got to be current, because those fish are completely current dependent. If there's not current, there's not bait blowing by, and those fish don't have to position anywhere. So they can be scattered all over flats. They can be out in the middle of the river. There's nothing to make them position. But when there is current, they're very, very predictable. They're not predictable all up and down the river, but the spots that really draw them in where they can really ambush bait, they're super predictable there. And I sent the kid down there. He jumps off a 5-pound smallmouth, catches 2 5-pound smallmouth. And I told him there would not be enough fish there to catch a limit. I told him that. And I'm, told him some places, some spawning, kind of pre-spawn spawning areas to go check. He didn't. He sat there and he only weighed in 2 massive smallmouth in the BFL. Broke my heart. But the point is, there's miles of these rivers that are like that. But you have to spend the time to dial them in. There's me, Jody Campbell, Garrett Campbell in our club, and we've cashed checks in the Guntersville tournaments for years now. We've really spent a lot of time dialing this stuff in, and it is such a specific thing. But once you get it in this time of the year specifically, because there are all 3 species, right? You can say, I'm going to get a consistent limit of 17 to 19 inch spots and smallmouth, and I'm going to have a 21 or 22 inch largemouth kicker. That's a fact. And that's every day. So once you figure that part out, you have to go to different areas to get them. They're not just all like hanging out together, swimming around. But once you figure that part out, I mean, there's not a reason to try to do anything else, but you can literally go up there and spend 2 weeks and skunk every day if you don't know what you're doing.
So, yeah, we talked about this before, and we're going to get into, getting info for tournaments and things like that. But regardless of, Dylan, obviously, Ryan was able to set you up on a nice area. You still had to go out and catch them. You know what I mean? You still had to go out and catch them. And really, other people were up there snooping around, like Ryan said, and they couldn't figure it out. They couldn't find them, but he got you in the right area, and then you still executed and caught the fish. And it sounded like you could have made a push for 200 inches if you put everything in the boat. Is that right?
Yeah, that was heartbreaking. I was pretty bent out of shape about that after the first day, but it is what it is. That's fishing. You ain't going to get them all to the boat every time.
I was been out of shape about it.
Oh, I know you were.
I was upset. Like, I mean, I didn't try to put you on. I wasn't like, hey, Dylan, I'll put you on third place fish. Like that was not the mission. Like if I'm gonna let you in on the family secret, you better catch everyone. Like I want to see you wreck them.
And that's what was so heartbreaking about it was if I'd have had either one of those two fish, I'd have blew day one away too.
That's part of it, though.
Yeah, it is.
2-day tourneys are tough,
Yeah.
Brett Conrad.
Yeah, I'm just figuring that out.
But you flipped it on its head, dude. You had a better day 2 than day 1. So that's the new thing for Dylan.
Jimmy Talley in the comments, it's been kept secret. And it's going to stay kept secret, Jimmy. We can just look at each other and smile while we watch all these fools get out here and skunk. That's it. It's going to stay kept secret. If it's not, we'll hunt Dylan down. I know where he lives.
Yeah. Jesse said something in the comments, man. He said, go easy on the kid. He's still new to the smallmouth game. What did you learn during this event trying to fish that area and land those fish? Did you, obviously you had to learn something from, losing them and then figuring out how to land them.
Man, those smallmouth go nuts as soon as you set the hook in them. And there's no keeping them down. You can kind of play a largemouth a little bit, but those smallmouth are going to do what they want. I did loosen my drag just a little bit. I don't know if that might have helped day 2. But man, I don't think there's really anything you can do. They're just going to do what they do, and it's luck of the draw if you get them to the boat or not. Obviously, Ryan's got a lot more figured out than I do, but
they're old fish, though. Like you're catching, 15, 16, 17, maybe 20-year-old fish. Like they've seen a thing or two. This is not their first rodeo. Like if you think they don't know how to get off a hook, you're crazy. I mean, they're big, aggressive, strong river fish. And it just happens to be a time of the year where they're a little bit more vulnerable, but they're still, just as mean as they were. I mean, they don't let up. And that's one of the hardest things is just figuring out how to get them in for sure. Joe Kirk's in the comments. Joe Kirk figured that stuff out up below Watts Bar as well. Same deal. It's all luck, but it's a lot of work just learning how to get them in the boat.
Oh yeah, my dad said the same thing. I was a little upset talking to him on the phone, and he said, "Man, that they didn't get to be 5 and 7 pounds by being stupid." So
that's right.
Yeah, they mean. Well, what's this mean to you, man? I know you said you're trying to get the national tournament monkey off your back. You got it off your back in a big way. All kinds of checks and medal back there behind you. So what's this mean to you going forward? Big confidence, boost, momentum. What's it going to do for you?
Boost. Just knowing that. Well, now first I got to be able to pre-fish and find my own spots that'll hold 2 days worth of fish. So we're going to give me the nickname "Can't Pre-Fish Dylan." I gotta stop burning the swim jig everywhere I go. But
hey, I've been telling you that, boy. Hey, you're gonna shift it up. You're gonna shift it up, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely add some more stuff to my arsenal after this one. But it was a huge confidence boost, man. Like I've thanked Ryan probably 1,000 times. Just
you ain't got to thank me. I wasn't doing nothing with him. That was my off weekend. I hit him through the week. I like to go out. I try to get out on them 2 or 3 days a week, just to let them know I'm still around. And, I love them. I pet them. I kiss them, take a couple pictures with them, tell them thank you, put them right back in. But you did great, man. I feel like I was more nervous than you were. I don't know why. Like you didn't really seem that shook about it at all. And I'm like sitting on pins and needles. I'm like, is this dude gonna catch them? Like, I know they're here. I've talked all this shit. Like he's got to win this thing. He's got to win this thing.
Yeah, no, with the exception of Pickwick last year, and that's just because I had so much bad luck all throughout last year. I'm normally extremely calm on the water when I miss it. Like when I missed that 7-pounder, I didn't get all bent out of shape. I just slid my swim bait back up on the hook, made another cast, didn't say another word. Smallmouth, on the other hand, that was a different story. If that was a video, you'd have had to edit it.
Well, it couldn't be a video because after I saw it, I turned around and walked back through the bushes and got in the car and left. I was like, I called his daddy and I was like, Pop, I said, I don't know if he's going to do it on this one or not, but he's about to break my damn heart. I said, I thought I was about to get the hero shot of him netting this monster smallmouth, and all I saw was lure go flying and hands go up, and I was like, oh no, that ain't the one.
Guesses on size for that one, Dylan? How big was it?
It was over 21. It was huge. It's the biggest smallmouth I've ever seen in person. And I know that's
I love fishing tails. I love fishing tails. I do. I will tell you that there's been 5 smallmouth over 22 inches caught off that one particular spot. That's why I went and sat on that spot. And I was like, if he gets to this point, something magic's about to happen. Because me and my buddy that fishes out of the bass boat, we've caught, some giants there this year. And I was like, if he gets to this spot, like something good's going to happen. And when I saw him set the hook, I was grinning from ear to ear. I was just holding down the rapid fire on the camera. I'm like, this is going to be it right here. We're about to make National Geographic.
And did you post all 3 pictures, Ryan?
I did. Yeah. From the hook set to the swing around. Oh,
when I set the hook, the tip of my rod was at the butt of my rod. Like, it was insane.
Couldn't move over.
Like I said, it's not saying a whole lot because I haven't been to a whole lot of smallmouth fisheries, but it was the biggest smallmouth I've ever seen in person.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of discussion about the difference in those northern strains and the Tennessee River strains and the fight and how they grow and different things.
I've caught I haven't been to one of the Great Lakes, and that's my fault. My goal, if they'll have me, I want to go smallie fish with Rich Offner and Tim Percy and get on some of the Great Lakes smallmouth. But up on the Susky, man, like those river fish, they're built different. They're shorter and stockier. They're thick fish. But these smallmouth that we got on the Tennessee River, like they're not lake smallmouth. They live in current every day. That's how they survive. That's how they feed. The biggest that I've seen photographs of is 8.5 pounds out of there. The biggest I've caught is 7 out of there. Like, I know there are absolute tanks. And like Dylan said, man, when you set the hook, there's nothing. You're along for the ride. There's nothing you can do with them. Kenzo broke off a 6-pounder 2.5 weeks ago. Like, I was upset. I can't be mad at her because I couldn't do anything with it either. They do what they want to do. If they want to wrap you under the boat, you either jump out and swim with them or they break off. Like, that's what happens. There's not an option, unfortunately, on them.
Yeah. Well, Dylan, we couldn't be happier for you, man, pulling off the win here. We're hoping this carries over into a TOC berth for you because you get momentum in the BOS series as well. So that's what's going to happen next. But what we wanted to do off the back end, or piggybacking on the back end of talking about your win, was get into a little bit of info sharing and how that affects events. Obviously, it had a big effect on this event. You still had to catch all the fish, but how many over under, Ryan? A dozen or more people in your DMs? Because everybody sees your Instagram and Facebook. They know you're catching them on Guntersville, and those are your pets. How many folks reached out for info in those tailwaters?
A dozen or more.
Yeah.
Between Instagram comments and DMs and then in-person interactions, like there was a lot being, kind of dropping hints and being said about it, but I love for people to catch fish. Like, if you're in a tournament and you're in my backyard, I want you to catch fish. I may give you a C spot or a D spot or whatever, but like I said in the post I made earlier today, I can count on one hand how many people I would trust with the juice. Like if you aren't literally family to me, then I'm not. I don't care who you are. I'm not. And honestly, some of my family members I wouldn't tell the juice because it's something that's taken a long time and so much work. Like, that's the stuff you got to be careful giving out. But the thing that I think the point that they're heading toward here, how often does this happen? And I feel like it happens in every tournament, every other tournament. I obviously know a lot of people that are fishing this stuff. Like, it goes on. Like, there's always a local hand. There was a guy that came up to me at the Classic at the Seagar booth when I was working. Hey, where's your next tournament? Santee Cooper. Oh, hell, you need to go. Like, always people want to feel like, and I did too in this case, I want to feel like my spot's the best spot. I want to feel like for myself that I know more than everybody else that's fishing this tournament. So I feel like there's a pride aspect, and that's why people share stuff like this. But I definitely think in these major tournaments, it's I don't want to say a problem, but an occurrence. And I feel like it's probably something that needs to be looked at. And I hope this brings some attention to it, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, is there a line to draw on? Obviously, you and Dylan are good friends, travel together a lot for these big tournaments. So sharing info in that respect is no big deal. I mean, that happens all the time. But is there a line to be drawn on paying for it, fishing with guides, staying with guides? I don't know.
I mean, where where is it? When is it okay? At what point is it okay? So now, like with guides, for instance, it's what, a 30-day is a 30-day rule now for most trails overall.
Right.
So you can't give somebody money for it. You can still ride in a boat with them for free, or they're your friend and you ride in the boat with them and they show you what the juice is, you know, the week before the tournament. I think at some point, as this gets bigger and bigger, I mean, we're paying out 10 grand now a tournament. If honestly, if Dylan would have landed one of those two fish, he would have had 10 grand period in this tournament. If you add it all together, I mean, between dugout money and big bass and everything else, like that would have been over 10 grand. Like, at what point is it enough money to be serious? The BFL down there paid out what, 4,500, 5 grand, something like that. I mean, half what the total pot was for a kayak derby. When do we take it serious? I don't know. I don't know what that hash mark is, but I think you have to kind of figure out that this thing is going on and it is a problem, and you probably need to look at it and address it.
Yeah, and now it's not just guides, but you can go, fish the moment. Matt Steffen, Randy Blockett, Johnny Schultz, those guys. You can go to their website and buy a map of Guntersville with waypoints on it, and there's other websites similar to that. There's even apps now where you can input different things into the app, and it'll tell you where to go and what to do. So I don't know where the line is to be drawn as far as collecting it digitally or collecting it from people, but at some point, with all the technology and all the information available, I don't know. It starts becoming about who you know and rather than what you can catch at a point.
But it could just as easily be in person,
Yeah.
Team fishing 101, where you got 8 or 10 people and they go in and break down a lake and figure out what the bite is and which section's better than the other or whatever. I mean, I think there are things that as we grow as a sport that the pros have probably already figured out a lot of it, but I think we're going to have to implement some of those things, like information rules, like off limits periods, official pre-fishing. Like there's got to be a time where our rules catch up to our payouts, I guess.
I think off limits rules may have more of an impact than info rules because
for sure,
there's a handful of folks that just get a little more time, and it doesn't always mean the winner. I mean, we've heard story after story on this podcast about the dude that rolled in on Friday with a paddle kayak and won on Dardanelle or whatever. Drew had never been to Grand and shows up a few days and figures it out. But cashing checks consistently and you're getting info all the time, it certainly helps. So,
and I'm glad this is going to be used as an example because everybody that knows me knows I've been arguing for a 30-day off limits period, no information from an outsider, paid or free, in that off limits period, and a polygraph at every event. We're fishing for way too much money at every single event for there not to be a polygraph at every single one of them. And polygraphs aren't that expensive. I know people that do it. It's like you can't. There's no way around that. It's not that expensive. It's not.
And how much influence, because your dad did kind of raise you up in the big boat world, with him fishing these big trails and big tournaments. How much influence does that have on your views on how serious things should be taken based on how the actual real bass boat tournaments are?
Oh, a lot. I mean, there's going to be obvious differences in a kayak tournament than a bass boat tournament, but if you want to consider yourself a pro level event, you have to model yourself after the already existing pro level events that are working. I mean, money makes people do things that you wouldn't think they would normally do. And I don't care who you are, if they're your buddy, if they're not. I don't know, man. People do.
I mean, we've seen examples of that, like board cutting, tail cutting, board bending. Like we've seen just numerous examples of how to cheat, like drawing Sharpie dots on fish. Like I'm trying to think of all the highlights of the sport that we've got so far, but I don't think there's
your
a
PFD,
limit.
whatever. There's all kinds of things you can do. So.
I think that was something.
A lot of the rules that aren't in place are or is a big reason that a lot of people that I know that fish bass boat tournaments will never fish a kayak tournament. My dad being one of them. And I hate that because I would love for my dad to travel with us. It would be a great time.
What specifically is he worried about? What rules, or one or two rules, is he really like, I'm not fishing because of that? What's the biggest ones?
Polygraph's the biggest one. That's where I get that from. And he's right. We're fishing for too much money for there not to be a polygraph. The information rule is a big one for him.
What's strange is I won a KBS event back in the day, Ryan, in the day, and they polygraphed then. So what happened? How did we get away from that as things got bigger?
One of the tricky things about polygraphs is if somebody fails one, then what do you do? Is there a punishment? Is it like, the admissibility of a polygraph in court is always a big question mark. Like if somebody fails a poly, then what do you do from there? Do you investigate further? Do you try to hammer a confession out of them? Like, how does it progress past that? Or if they fail a poly, do you just DQ them, period? Do you write that in the bylaws of your tournament series? If you fail a polygraph, there's no chance to bullshit around it. You're gone. You failed it. Good night.
My dad told me a story. He had to take the first time he ever had to take a polygraph. He was so nervous. He failed it twice. And not failed it, but got an inconsistent because he was so jittery. Yeah. And the polygraph man told him, said, look, if you don't pass this 100% on the third try, you're just like, we have to disqualify you, whether you did it or not. I mean,
that's the thing. You can do a traditional polygraph. You can do voice stress analysis. There's a couple different ways to confirm or double check those things. And if anything, it'd be a huge deterrent. If people know they're going to have to face that, it's going to eliminate 90% of the people trying to cheat, I would think.
I think just knowing it's there is the biggest thing. At least act like you're trying. Act like you're trying to discourage shady stuff from happening. Like you can't just pretend that everybody's good and everything's great and go on about your way. Like we've seen it too many times, to be honest with you. We've seen too many instances where people are living in this gray area and it's not addressed at all. Like I think as a sport overall, we have to step up and shed some light on that gray area to where you're either right or you're wrong or don't fish this stuff anymore.
Yeah, I think you even do it. You obviously polygraph the check cashers, top 5, whatever you're going to do, but pick somebody random out of the field and do it to them too. And make it,
random.
Yeah,
top
so
3 random in the check.
Yeah, so that way the thing it's not just a flawed test or whatever. Troy Haney said running GoPro. That'd be the ultimate way. I know that's what I think Bass requires you to run a GoPro in the elites. We're not there yet. I don't know how. We don't have the manpower to manage that footage and even review it. Unless Steve Fields wants to do it. He's in the comments. You can do it, Steve.
Steve would love to. Steve loves the random footage. I feel like when you forget to put your hat over the camera.
Yeah.
But my thing with kayak fishing is you hear it all the time. Oh no, I know him. They never do something like that. Well, they have. Guy. We have all seen them do it, but nothing's been done about it. Yeah. Well, I say nothing's been done. No rule has been put into, no polygraph, no rule, no nothing. It just keeps getting let go. And that's my issue with it. That's everyone I know that grew up fishing bass boat tournaments issue with it. And, can't really say a whole lot because Hughes has been selling out every tournament this year except for Winnipesaukee because the Northeast people don't show up to their own tournaments just like California boys. But I don't know, man. I don't know what. I don't know if they're waiting on somebody to sure enough get caught like on camera. I don't know. I don't know what it's going to take. But apparently, I'm not going to go there. I haven't had enough tequila.
Take another shot and go there. Please.
You
saw Jeremy. He cut loose. You can cut loose too, man.
It's probably smart.
No.
I hope that it's a matter of time. If we're paying out 10 grand an event, I think that's enough money to justify making it legit.
Yeah.
Don't
not
the team tournament that we fished on Sinclair Polygraphs.
Yeah, and if not Polygraph, something. Maybe it's the app companies come up with another security measure or something else to add security to this.
Well, right now, I mean, this is another great thing to bring up while we're talking about shit that probably should have been fixed 4 or 5 years ago. These apps don't have access to your location where you catch a fish or where you take a picture. They have access to where you upload the fish from. So that leaves this huge door open to where people could go catch fish on a completely separate body of water and then upload their fish from the tournament body of water. And we don't have an app that can distinguish where that fish is caught because they don't have access through the carriers.
So there actually is one, Ryan, I think.
Oh, there is?
Which is, didn't the Topwater boys say they force the picture through the app's camera?
So that's if the picture's taken in the app. TourneyX can do that. I'm pretty sure Fish Chaos can do that if the picture's taken through the app. Right. But that's the only way they can get that data because the carriers won't give these apps access to the data without you saying, okay.
Maybe that's the next step is all these apps upgrading the in-app camera capability where you can take multiple pictures and then upload one or whatever.
Well, I'm not too keen on the whole technology side of it, and I feel like in my mind it would probably drain your battery. But it would make sense to me is when you check in on TourneyX or Fishing Chaos, it tracked you all day, nonstop.
I'd like that. I'd like a live. Well, no, we wouldn't like that. That'd be terrible. But for the tournament directors, to be able to not just see your fish upload or catch location, but just to randomly check in on where Dylan is. You know what I mean? The tournament director, not everybody in the field. But
we need to do a shotgun launch for Steve Fields just once.
Just up. I would rather do it at the TOC than anywhere else. I don't want to do a shotgun launch with 300 people. And here's another great point now that we're on this. 200's enough. If you haven't fished one of these sold out Hobie events with 40 people at your ramp, 200 is enough. The people talking about raising the limit, no, do not raise the limit. The 200 is plenty. If anything, I'll take less. I'm cool with getting under that 10 grand payout. Like that's enough. We hit the mark.
Your alarms like the rest of us. There's no excuse.
More than enough.
I've done it at work. I've done it. I work night shift. Well, used to work night shift. I've woken up from sleep for my alarm to register for a Hobie series, Susky to be specific, and then went right back to sleep. There's no, I don't know. I'm ranting, but
I say we keep it. We keep
200 is the max because even with 200, even on a big body of water, 200 is crowded.
Keep it at the 200 cap. No refunds unless you sell your own spot to somebody else. That's the only way you get. That's the only way you get out.
You should be able to sell your own spot.
Put my name on that. That's all you can do.
There's a huge wait list for Chickamauga. I'll take bids right now.
Hey, Chick is going to show out. I'll go ahead and tell you on that one. I'm not giving any spots away on Chick either. That's mine. I'm coming for that one.
All right.
Don't tweet me. Don't at me.
Hey, we're podcast partners. What the hell? I don't get the inside scoop on anything.
Daniel Morris, what kind of prices you getting on Polygraph test? Boy, somebody gouging the hell out of you. You get one for 150, 200, man. I got an old dude. You slip him $400, he'll do as many as you want.
Yeah, I was about to say, I know a guy in Milledgeville that would probably sign up to be the Hobie Series Polygraph man if they paid him to do it. Man,
we'll just get a guy. We'll get an old guy. Yeah, we'll get an old guy that can judge people real good and just get him to look him in the eye. That's all we'll do.
And I promise you, he can pull it out of you. He's good. He's good. I'm pretty sure he used to torture people or something.
I mean, we've talked about this though. Just get one of the sponsors. Get a sponsor to literally just sponsor the polygraph test. Put whatever cool little catchphrase they've got for their product on it, and that is covering all the polygraph tests for the year, but also they get the exposure if there's a cheater, because that's going to go fire.
That feels like a golden opportunity for like a law firm or something to sponsor that.
Or KBN.
Yeah, there you go. The
I've
DOJ.
We've got what? We got probably $60 between us. We can probably
Yeah.
we can cover half a
KBN,
polygraph, I'd
DOJ.
say.
We'll start randomly polygraphing people on our own. Just pull them off.
just for shits and giggles. But we do it at the bar on Friday night, like just to ask them if they're thinking about cheating.
Can you imagine? Let's do that, Ryan.
That'd be awesome. Francis
Maybe-
Tran couldn't pass it if he had to. He couldn't pass a TCAP test.
We'll have to do it on day one. I'll be gone by day two. But you can do it on day-
That's true. I forgot. We're 2-day tournaments out here, Jeff.
yeah, I've taken Dylan's.
Jeff's
man.
still on the single day one, Jeff.
I'm half day.
Because you
Jeff.
ain't gonna
That's
see
me.
his ass on day 2.
No, hey, we're about to have three BOS in a row. I'm about to get on a run. Don't worry about it. 2 days in a row for all of them. I'll be there.
Broken bow, you cashing a check.
I'm cashing a check, baby. It's happening.
Heard it here first.
Good time.
Dylan, broken bow, you cashing a check.
I'm cashing something. It might not be a check.
All right. I'm writing a check. I
It's,
may
yeah,
not
oh,
cash.
yeah. I'm cashing a good time. That's what I'm cashing.
It'll be all right. It'll be all right.
But I know we're probably getting towards the end here.
I ain't cutting you off. You got something else to say or share?
Just wanted to thank my sponsors, man.
Yeah, do it.
Big Bite has done a lot for me, and this was it. This is what did it. That is the chartreuse gizzard shad or suicide shad, 5-inch swim bait. They make them in a 3-inch, 5-inch, and a 7-inch.
They're slippery too.
I think I just saw they came out with some new colors today.
No, okay. Yeah, no. So they're slippery and they're covered in glitter. So when you get home, your wife will think you've been at the strip club.
Oh,
That's a double bonus there. So
But
take that, suckers.
But yeah, I want to thank Dugout, Douglas Rods. You know, they've done a lot for me in the short time I've been with them. They're great guys. They even invited
Donnie
me.
the mullet.
Donnie the mullet. Caleb. They invited me up to go wreck some smallmouth on the St. Lawrence in August. I am looking forward to that one. Revo sunglasses. Y'all, especially you, Ryan, couldn't have done it without you, man.
Ryan Van Tyne. He's Lambert's Towing and Recovery, #1 sponsor on this one. Hey man, that's my boy. I like putting him on, and hopefully this kind of brings some attention to the fact that you can drop dots and you still have to catch them, being around the fish, but it helps when you definitely have been there before and have an idea on the game plan. Like, we got a lot of holes in this little Swiss cheese deal we call kayak fishing, but hopefully we'll tighten some things up. But until then, we're gonna battle each other and battle the info wars as we go.
I'm just glad Papa Dave finally knows I'm not the milkman's son.
Hey, you got it. You got it on this one. You surprised me and him on this one. We was cussing each other, and then there you go. We caught them all up.
you the man, Dylan. I reckon we'll see you boys on Broken Bow here in a couple weeks, huh?
Oh yeah,
I'm ready. I got one
All right.
stop at Chick first. We got a lake-wide tournament at Chick next weekend,
all right,
TPKA.
all right. Good
Then I'll
stuff.
be sliding to Oklahoma.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for watching. Of course, YouTube,
Hotchatown
Facebook.
Saloon meetup, Broken Bow.
we're
It's
getting
going
west.
down. Put it on your
Yeah, we'll-
calendars.
We'll drop some details on that Monday. I don't know who we're gonna have on Monday, but by then we'll have some details for y'all.
Facts.
Y'all need to have on Joseph Sanderson so we can talk about the Hotchatown Saloon.
That might not be a bad idea, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Let's line that up. We'll tweet
right.
him.
All right, boys. We gone.
Thank y'all for having me.
Cheers.
Cheers.